This video will provide a brief introduction to using the MLA International Bibliography Database at Mount Allison University Libraries and Archives. To get to the database, just click on A to Z List of Databases under Quick Links, and then you can select M for MLA from the alphabetical list, or you can choose the subject English. If you're off campus, just make sure you have your username and password so you can log in. First thing I'm going to do is click on Advanced Search so I have more options, and I'm going to clear the form. In the search field at the top, you can enter different keywords that represent your subject area, and I'm going to start with something very broad, a search on Canadian literature. This should give you a sense of just how much is available in this database, and in this case we've got 32,000 results. So that's a lot to work with, and it's probably going to be pretty easy to miss information there. So let's modify our search and see if we can limit the pool of results. One really simple way to do this is to click off the peer review box, requiring all the things that are returned to be peer reviewed, and change the date range. So we might say only stuff that's been published in the last 3 years, although you can specify any range you'd like. This time when I search, I'm going to get down to 844 results. So that's more manageable than 30,000, but probably a little bit too broad still, and the topic of Canadian literature itself is probably too broad for a lot of research. So let's modify our search again. And instead of looking at just Canadian literature, let's look at a specific author. So you might be interested in Margaret Atwood. In this case, you can go down to the search subject fields and click on Look Up Authors as Subject. So this is authors as the subject of academic research. You can enter the name in the search field, so in this case Atwood, and click Find. Select Margaret Atwood's name from the list with a check, and add to search. Alright, so I'm going to unclick peer review for now, and see what we have. So we've got about 1,200 results, which is pretty good, but we're definitely going to want to narrow this down. And you might actually be interested in some specific works by Margaret Atwood. So you might want to look up authors' works. So clicking on that, you'll be able to search for specific works that you can add to your search. So for example, The Handmaid's Tale. Now, it's important to note that this can be a little bit picky about spelling. So this apostrophe, if it's not there, I'm not actually going to find what I'm looking for. But if it is there, I'll find The Handmaid's Tale. So just be aware of that. So I'm going to check that, and I'm going to add it to search. So now we're looking for stuff about Margaret Atwood that's also about The Handmaid's Tale. Alright, so we're down to 11 results, which is a very manageable pool. We can look through these, see if there's anything that interests us. But we might say, well, let's try and broaden our horizons a little bit and see if we can add some more works by Margaret Atwood. So instead of just looking up one work here, we can actually add as many authors' works as we would like. Likewise for the other fields, you can add as many authors as you'd like, so you're not limited to just putting one thing in these different subject fields. So let's try and do that. So again, I'm going to look up The Handmaid's Tale. And this time, just to show you, if you just know a portion of the title, so in this case, The Hand, you don't want to type the whole thing out or worry about the spelling, you can click Begins With and Find. So there's still quite a few things that begin with The Hand, but if we scroll down just a little bit, we should find The Handmaid's Tale, and here it is. So I'll click off both The Handmaid's Tale and The Handmaid's Tale 1985. Now before I add these to search, I want to add another work. So you'll notice that right now I've got those two works selected and I can click View, but I'm going to search for The Blind Assassin as well. And I'm going to check that. And now you'll notice it says you've selected 3 works. So we have The Handmaid's Tale, The The Handmaid's Tale 1985, and The Blind Assassin. Okay. So let's add all of these to search. And you'll notice it populates the search field. So we've got Handmaid's Tale or The Blind Assassin or Handmaid's Tale 1985. So if these were or, and you can change the ors to ands when you search by, in one moment here, you can change those by selecting or, and instead of or here. That's going to narrow your search because you're asking the search engine to look for things, only things that meet all of those criteria. Whereas with or, you're saying any of the above criteria. So we've got Margaret Atwood and The Handmaid's Tale or The Handmaid's Tale 1985 or The Blind Assassin. So those are the search criteria that we've got to work with right now. And now we're up to 207 results. So that's a pretty good pool to work with as well. And again, if we want to just look at peer reviewed, we can check that off and then search for just peer reviewed. And that actually gets us down to 102. So let's take a look at these results a little more closely. You'll notice that there's this preview button, and when you hover over it, you can actually find out a little bit more detail about this particular item. So you can look at different subject terms that are used to describe it. So female-female relations or patriarchy. These might be different search terms that you might want to use in the future that you might not have thought of. So it's not a bad idea to hover over preview and take a look at what other subject terms are being used. If you click on the title, that's going to give you more information. So author, publication information, subject terms, and a lot of other stuff. Above here, you might want to take a note of cite. So if you want to actually use this and cite this in a paper, this will generate a citation for you. And you can choose whatever format you like, whether it's APA or Chicago or MLA, which is probably what you want in this case. And if you have to change it, hit change, and it will generate a citation, which you can just copy and paste. Okay. So if there's something you actually want to find here at Mount Allison, one way to check is to look to see if there's articles that have a full text link. Now what you want to do for the moment, instead of clicking on the full text link, is to click on Journal Finder. And that's going to check to see if we have access to that at Mount Allison. So it'll pop up a little window here, click on Journal Finder, and that will give you access, or give you the journals that have access to this particular article. So just note what year this article was published. So in this case it's in 2009. And check to see if that is within the coverage of the particular database that you're looking at here. So let's hit Find Title, or Find Article. Oh, and there's a bit of an error in this case. So that happens sometimes. So let's try and ignore that just for the moment and go back and try and find that at this other link. Okay, so here we go. So again, the title that we were looking for is Offred's Complicity in Dystopian Tradition, So let's scroll down in this journal and see if we have it here. And here it is. And we have a link that you can get this article as an HTML file, or you can get it as a PDF, which is probably most helpful. You can save that, you can print that, and let's just click on that to show you. So here it is. You can read it online if you don't want to worry about it having a physical copy. So that's basically how you get a hold of these articles once you see something you're interested in. So again, just to refresh you there, if you see something that says link to full text, that's a pretty good indication that we have it somewhere. Right now you have to click on Journal Finder, and that will take you to the Journal Finder page where you can click on Find Title and the appropriate resource. Okay. If there's something else that jumps out and you're interested and you don't see the full text link, that doesn't mean that you can't get access to the material. So in this case, the trope of doors in Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, you might be interested in this. Again, click on Journal Finder to see if we have access. So click on this. And you'll notice that there are no results for this particular journal. So one thing that you can do is order this through interlibrary loan. So this result here is a link that allows you to order this from a different university. So you'll have to log in here using your student PIN number on your card and your 4-digit password. If you need any help using interlibrary loan, don't hesitate to email one of the librarians or come in and talk to us. We'd be happy to help you set this up. So just as a reminder, sometimes you can actually get the article here in full text, and sometimes you might have to order it through interlibrary loan. But just because you don't see full text doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get the article. So just to conclude, the subject fields down here are a really good way to modify and narrow your search by different topics. So you can look at an author as a subject, you can look at the author's works, and you can look at genre, folklore, national literature, performance medium, and so on. And you're not limited to just putting one search term in here. You can look at multiple works or multiple authors, and you can continue to add those up. Last, you can specify the kind of resource that you're looking at, so you can look at just books or book articles or chapters or journal articles. You can modify how your results are displayed, relevance or oldest to first, and you can also change things like how many items and whatnot you're seeing on the page at a time. This has been a very brief introduction to the MLA International Bibliography Database at Mount Allison, and if you have any questions, as always, please ask a librarian and we'd be happy to help you. Thanks for watching.